receive my grateful thanks. Oh yeah, teach me more to please you each and every day.
Yeah,
For
great.
I am
Absolutely
so
beautiful this morning. Beautiful morning. The most exciting thing about this is tomorrow it's gonna be, I think we're changing time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna be, so we're gonna be
Make sure you
having,
do it tonight, or
make
else you're
sure
gonna
you
get
do that
late
tonight. Yeah.
to church.
I don't get
You're
late to
gonna be
church.
1 hour late to church.
Absolutely. So good to have today. It's amazing to have our guests in the house, to have her Prince and then Chansa. It's good to have, it's a great honor to have you in the house. Prince and the princess, I'll put it that way.
Thank you. The pleasure is all ours. Thank you for having us here.
Oh, it's absolutely a great pleasure.
Sure,
I'll allow you to take it over.
Yeah, I'm gonna read their bio. And once again, we want to thank you guys so much for honoring this invitation. We are so blessed to have you in this show. Okay. So Osamede Arhunmwunde is a co-founder and chief operation officer at GIGX Technologies. Osamede is responsible for the firm's process improvement experience, and he is a key partner in building strong relationships with the business community across Africa. He has deep insight into cryptocurrency market and was an early investor into several well-known blockchain projects as an advisor to others. So if you want to invest, now you know the right person to talk to. So prior to joining GIGX Technologies, Osamede led product and investment teams at Africa Development Capital and C100X cryptocurrency fund. Osamede holds a BA degree in economics from the University of Manitoba. Then our princess here, Chansa Arhunmwunde, I'm so sorry, I didn't pronounce it last.
That's okay.
She is a financial literacy advocate and educator. She has almost a decade of experience in the Canadian financial sector, being a senior financial advisor, and most recently, a wealth manager with one of the Canada's big 5 banks. She is passionate about financial literacy and what it can do to change the trajectory of each and every person's financial life. Thank you so much. Once again, we have the right people that can, talk about finances and how we as couple or how we as family, how we can manage our finances and what are the things that we have to do, to make it in life. So we already introduced our guests, then we keep the ball rolling.
Great, okay? Yeah. All right, so now I'll just start from who should take the lead? You're in the financial world, he's in the investing world, in managing finances in a relationship. Over to you, two.
My love, I think you can go first.
Okay.
So I was actually going to say the same thing, but but ultimately, I think when it comes to finances, it's one of those things. It's almost like Lego, or boxes, where it's a thing of you layer on a foundation. Just think about it as a house. First, you have to have the right foundation. Then you have the right pillars, depending on how high you want the structure to go. Then you have even pillars to help with support, right? Then you have your main body, then you have your roof. So I think when it comes to finances, we have to hold a similar approach. There are certain things that are foundational. There are certain things that are going to work as pillars for growth. And there are certain things that are going to be like a roof that protects the family. So I think at the end of the day too, it's very important that couples find where their strengths lie, so that way, as a unit, you can leverage the best of both worlds in that sense. I'm sorry, I'm in Nigeria, and once again, the power has gone off. But we'll just continue. So I'll give you an example, and again, I'll let my wife speak a little bit more about this, but we could see things, for example, like budgeting, right, as one of those foundational pieces, right? That if before you even start to talk about growth, you have to understand that, okay, as a family, what are our expenses? What does it take for us to even survive day to day running our home, right? We can look at things like investing as pillars, and then we can look at things like life insurance, for example, as a roof that essentially protects the house. If something goes wrong, at least we know that we have a roof and the rain is not going to come in, disrupt our lives. So again, the point I'm trying to make is that I think first of all we have to look at finance in a home in layers. We have to look at it structurally, and we also have to leverage one another to see what our skill sets and our natural gifting and abilities are as a unit, and how together we can form this bond that would help us progress. Like in our home, for example, my wife is the absolute best when it comes to budgeting. So I might do a lot of ideas and structuring, but she does all the planning and budgeting. So maybe I'll let her start, since in my opinion, I think that that's one of the foundational areas that I think families need to address and truly understand in order to grow financially.
Yeah. So yeah, just to add to what my husband said, I think, like with family and finances, definitely there has to be that foundation. But in regards to answering your question in who should take the lead in a home, I don't think it is one singular person to say it has to be the husband or it has to be the wife, because after all, in the home, when you get married, two become one. So you are one. And when you are one, you leverage your strengths, right? Like my husband rightfully said, there's certain things, aspects of finances that I am stronger at than he is. So it takes identifying what our strengths are. And the only way to identify each other's strengths is to be able to be open with communication and be transparent with one another. And as you speak and get to know one another financially, where you stand, or certain ideas and beliefs, because there's also certain things that we grow up with. I mean, it's two people coming together that grew up in two different homes, that have two different values and two different ideas of what money is. So our money mindsets are not even the same, in as much as we will probably, agree on certain things or disagree on certain things, but our money mindset might not exactly be the same, might not exactly be aligned. So when we sit and we're having the conversation, we understand what we need to unlearn. There's a lot to learn, but there's also a lot to unlearn from our upbringing where money is concerned, especially being immigrants from Africa that moved to Canada, where there was things like credit system, things that we didn't grow up with in Africa, right? So it's all about leveraging each other's strengths. And I think the key there is being transparent with each other and knowing what, identifying the strengths. Like we said, like in our home, for instance, just to give a practical example, where things like investing are concerned and everything, my husband takes the lead on those things because he is more cognizant, he has more experience in that department. But where things like budgeting and that sort of thing come into play, I am stronger in that sense. So I take the lead in that aspect, right? So not one person, not one size fits all, not one person can be good at everything. In some homes, you can find that maybe one person is good at everything. So then maybe that person is there. But then at the same time, even if it's just one person that's good at everything, like let's say maybe it's the wife that's good at everything, we put it this way, practical, if it's the husband that's good at everything, it'll be great for that couple or for that husband to empower his wife and give his wife some sort of financial responsibility as well to grow her, because two are better than one. So as both grow in their, their knowledge and experience with finances, they can only make better decisions and grow more financially as a family.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Wow, thank you for sharing that. There was something I wanted to add into the question this morning, and then she said, no, I shouldn't, I should take it out. No, okay, I wanted to ask, I said, what did you learn growing up about money?
Yeah.
I was
like you
mentioned that now.
different people with mindsets
The
about
mindset.
money, right? So you already mentioned that. So I guess maybe that's why you said, oh yeah, let me ask this question. Like as a couple, maybe guys, we have to know your spouse's mentality about money while
that's
growing
right.
up. What do you know about money while growing up? What do you see money to be? Maybe while growing up, you might kind of affect the way you see it when you're married.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you have any question, please feel free to just unmute yourself and ask the question.
Please.
And if you're the shy type,
just type it in. Send it in, then we'll read it out. It's supposed to be conversational so that we engage our guest in this.
Please don't let's be shy. When it comes to finances, I know it has really, especially when it comes to marriage, money has really has taken a huge role in marriage. I've seen families broken when it comes to money because of how to manage their finances. You see, one party is a giving type. Yeah, I want to give my family. Everybody is demanding for money. You want to give you want to give to the people, but the other party, maybe the way the person grow up. No, we don't really spend money like that. Yeah, so we really have to come together as couple and learn how to manage our finances. It's something that is really affecting so many marriages right now.
Yeah.
So
That's beautiful.
I think this is one of the very great platforms that we can. Somebody is asking a question
here for you. So what do you understand about financial infidelity in marriage?
That's a good question. Would you like to take that one, Osamede, or should I go ahead?
Hello, sorry. I think I would let you, or maybe, you know what? So financial infidelity, again, I'm not the expert at that, but if I'm just using, I guess, English, the idea behind infidelity, and then with finance, will be occasions where perhaps you make certain financial decisions without almost like hiding it from the other party. So that would be what I would understand from that. I think it's one of those things where I understand it more mentally and I'm trying to find the right words to describe it. So that's how I understand by that. But I'm assuming the question really is perhaps what I think about that, or how, but I'm not gonna assume, I'm just gonna let the person type out their actual question. But yeah,
exactly,
that's what I understand.
Yeah, so maybe Pastor T, if you want to meet yourself and probably just ask the question, maybe if you say it, then our guest will understand better.
Yeah, sorry, I asked that question. So I know financial matters is a big problem when it comes to relationship between husband and wife. So I know most of us know infidelity when it comes to, cheating on your husband or cheating on your spouse, having extramarital affairs. But when it comes to financial infidelity, we tend to overlook that, which is the big problem. So Osamede, you rightly said it. So financial infidelity is when you are not open to your spouse. Like, for example, maybe you are embarking on any project which has to do with finances of the family. So you try to hide that from your spouse. So which has really caused a lot of problems, when it comes to marriages, especially Christian marriage. Let me not say Christian marriage generally. So what do you have to say to that? So should there be openness when it comes to financial? Some people doesn't know how much their spouses are earning. Yeah, I know. Some people doesn't know. I've come across such people that I don't know how much my husband is earning. It is for me. So those are the kind of things that I want to really touch on, to talk about when it comes to finances between husband and wife. Should we be open to it? Should we be transparent, or should we be hiding something? Right.
Okay. So thank you very much for asking that question. I think the first thing I'm going to say is that the answers to this, in my personal opinion, is more art than it is science. So what I mean, it's science is 1 + 1 = 2. Art, it depends. So I'll break it down to what I'm really trying to say. I think ultimately in a marriage, the foundational piece is love. And I think that once in a while, we have to really stop and remind ourselves what it means to truly love. I think if you love one another, you would have the communication that's needed. Now, I mean, I'll give you a practical example with our own family, and maybe that would help. Because the reason why I'm sort of going around this question is because of the idea of infidelity. Infidelity sort of connotes the fact that you are hiding it. But I also think there's a way to manage your finances where everyone also has sort of a control over aspects of their own finance and their own wealth. So I'll give you an example. In our family, we have a shared account, and that shared account goes to paying bills, mortgages, you know, groceries, things like that. So again, that's why it comes down to, first of all, as a couple, know where you are financially, understand your budget, right? And I keep talking about how that's primary, because that essentially tells you where you are and what as a family unit you need to do. So for us, what we do is that, hey, our monthly expenses, we put in an account that's a joint account. However, my wife has her own private account. I have my own private account, right? That at the end of the day, we say, hey, okay, here's what we put together to run the home. However, I know what she earns, and a percentage of that is hers to keep, hers to invest. A percentage of what I make is mine to keep, mine to invest. Now, because I know that she loves me, I know she's not going to do anything to jeopardize our family. Like, so it's almost like it works, in my opinion, because of the love we share. You know, so it's like I have to trust that, oh, whatever decision she does with that money, I know it's going to be for the best of my interest. And she has to trust that whatever decision I do with the money I have is going to increase the well-being of our family. But truth be told, she has access to that money. So all my accounts, she knows all the passwords. So it's not like I have an account as a secret account. I have accounts across the world that she has never looked into, but she knows it's there. So if I ever go to a country and I open an account, I will tell her that, you know what, I have this account in Poland. Here, I mean, she already, here's the username, here's the password. Because she trusts that, there's no point for me to even check it, because whatever he's doing, I know he's going to do it for the good of the family. But if there was ever an emergency or anything like that, she knows. So that's why I keep saying it's about how we define. If we're saying infidelity where it's like you are hiding, I don't think that's right. I think that breaks trust. And I think once trust is broken, it affects love. And once there is no love, really, you have nothing. So that's why I stand in that aspect. But in aspect of having that sovereignty of wealth or sovereignty of funds, I think it's okay. I think as a family, you can have that conversation, and then we can always find that balance. So I hope that helps.
Absolutely.
Well, great. Yeah. Does anyone? Okay,
yeah. Maybe Chansa want to say anything?
No, I think he has said all that I was going to say. I just think, you know, like I said, one of the foundations in a marriage, in a relationship, is communication. And once you're open with each other about it, and you know what, sometimes in a family, like I said, you know, we have to play to our strengths. Maybe, let's say, for instance, a wife is not very good or very diligent with money, and the husband is more diligent. So they decide, okay, you know what, because my wife is not very diligent with money, I will sort of limit as a family, we will decide to limit the access that she has to certain funds, because you know what, we don't want to come up to a point where it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot I used that money for something, right? So it's about the openness and the communication as well. But where hiding is concerned, I definitely don't agree with that. I think if you're married, you love one another, and two have become one, you really should not be doing hiding from each other or any financial infidelity in that sense. Yeah.
Beautiful. Great. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So thank you once again. If you're just joining, this is Director Distractor taking the lead in your relationship and finances. And then we have a guest here, Prince, Osamede, and Chansa. Osamede, yeah, thank you very much for joining this. Really appreciate that. And if you have any question, please post your question or mute yourself and say, hey, I have a question, and ask a question. It's conversational.
In regards to the infidelity infidelity issue that we're talking about. So what if a spouse, you want to invest maybe kind of secretly, right? You don't want your spouse to know about it, but maybe in the future, you're planning to tell your spouse about the investment. So would that be called a kind of infidelity too?
I would
So
say,
okay. Please, my darling, continue.
Okay. I would say yes, that is infidelity. However, it's not like the fact that you're deciding to hide to do something. For me, just that hiding just sets off certain things. However, if you decide to say, my husband's birthday is coming up, it's a 40th birthday, 50th birthday, I want to make it a special birthday, and you two have already established that your wife has some sort of control over certain aspects of her finances. If she decides to take money and put it in, like what Osamede was saying, like you trust that if she's taken money and invested it somewhere, or taken money that she's got access to certain money that you may not fully know about, but you know that it's there, and you take it and decide to invest it, and then later on you use that money to spend on him or whatever, later on you come and tell him, I think that's okay. But if you're hiding, I think that is not okay. I think then there is a deeper problem, and you two have to take care of that deeper problem first, so that you're transparent with each other where finances are concerned. Yeah, not everything has to be in a joint account. You can have separate accounts, where you say, okay, the salary comes into this account, but out of that salary, maybe 10% of it goes to the wife's own account to spend, her spending account. It just goes into that, and 10% goes into the husband's account. So she's got some money that's coming into that account, and if she decides to take that money and invest it, then that's fine. But hiding,
So I just want to really emphasize on what you just said, is especially that I think that there's nothing wrong with an individual taking money from their account and going to invest. But again, it's how it's communicated. So like my wife has said, if in your family you've agreed that, hey, we have this joint account, but my wife or my husband also has his own savings account. He has his own spending account. So if he goes around, he could actually take part of that savings account and go invest in something. Maybe he didn't quite mention it, but again, is it a hiding, or was it just one of those things where, I just invested, I hadn't mentioned it, I will mention it. But for me, in a situation like that, it's absolutely not wrong, because as a family, you've already pre-decided that, this savings he has or she has, and I just trust that she's going to, or he's going to do the best with that fund. I think the key, is really understanding the definition. Are we saying you're actually hiding in terms of you don't want the other person to know, or in terms of, I have this savings account, it's mine to do how I please, I want to make this investment that I think it benefit our family.
But so your own personal account, you can decide to do whatever you want with it.
So I'll give you practical example again. Like I said, in our family, we have joint accounts and we also have separate accounts. I could tell you right now that I don't know for a fact what my wife has in her savings accounts. I don't know, but I know, so she could have taken from that and made an investment. I don't know all the investments she's in, but I trust that whatever she's going to do will be for her growth, right? And the growth of our family, because her growth is the growth of our family.
That's right.
And if something does go wrong, like maybe she does a bad investment, guess what? As a family, we've already naturally built a hedge by saying, hey, my darling, you can only access this percentage to do as you please. So that percentage can be 30%. So if she does make a mistake, that's okay, because she didn't jeopardize the family, because it was 30%, which as a family, we agreed that would be what it is.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
We have a doctor raising hand here, Professor Kunle. Yeah, please unmute yourself and then ask your question or your contribution.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I want to 100% agree with this wonderful couple, Osamede and Chansa. I hope I pronounce this correctly. Yeah, I 100% agree with their sharing this morning, and that's been wonderful. The foundation of a healthy family in terms of financial status is what they've talked about, love and openness. But the operational dynamics of each family may differ. So if the way Bro Sam and Sister Kemi operates as regards to their financial whatever, I want to copy it into my family, it can crash us.
I know. Yeah.
Right.
So that's why every family must understand each other. There's some people that they do common accounts and they're fine, everything is going well. There are some that they've ventured into that and it led to catastrophe. So understanding between the couple is very, very important. And let's just follow that dynamics that's working for us as making the family healthy, not copying what one family is doing. That's just my contribution. Thank you.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, sir. A great contribution
So
there.
as a family, you have to really understand what will work for you, right?
Yeah, figured it out.
If joint account might not work for you, then maybe don't do it. If you think maybe
now
personal.
going back to Chansa's comment from the beginning, we are coming from Africa, that the culture about money, finances differs from here. Also matters to the structure you build for your family as an immigrant in Canada.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm right, but I think something that it's something to ponder on. Thank you for sharing that, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for the contribution.
Yeah. So
the next question is going to be, how do you think couples should manage their finances? Maybe we've even said something about it.
Must have said something about that. Right?
Yeah, I'm sure maybe we have.
Yeah, figure that out. So,
all this discussion, I'm sure we've said something about it.
These guys are real good. Anyways, so what tool do you use to manage your finances? What tool do you use to manage your finances? Would you advise couple to use? Yeah.
So for tools, again, it's one of those things where it comes down to the family dynamics and things like that. In our home, my wife again handles a lot of the planning, a lot of the budgeting. So she might have some budgeting apps that she'll be able to recommend. For me, I handle most of the investing strategies. And when it comes to investing, a lot of times I take a much more broader approach. So in terms of tools, I wouldn't. I mean, I think the very first tool is really education. Like as weird as it sounds, because I can't tell you that, oh, go get this website. First is education, is really understanding the world of money, how money works, understanding of different asset class, understanding income, expenses, and I think then figuring out where you are and where your goals are and figuring out what to add to that portfolio to essentially reach your goals, right? So it could be, real estate, stock market, public companies or private companies. It could be cryptocurrencies. It could be just general business investing, So in my world, it's not as much tools as it is understanding money and having a clear goal and figuring out the sort of asset class or the combination of asset class that could both protect you and take you to your goal.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So I want to ask how should couple handle financial emergency? Emergency can arrive. Maybe you already have your tight budget for that month. There's something emergency just comes up. So as a couple, how do you do that? How do you manage it? Something like that can maybe pop up regularly, but when it happens, how do you manage it?
Okay, I will take that one up. I think what one of the most important things when it comes to managing finances is having a budget, because a budget helps you to tell your money where to go and not wonder where your money went. And on every income that a person makes, it is possible to make a budget, because a budget is essentially knowing what your income is and articulating what your expenses are and finding a way to make sure that you're not living beyond your means. And in making and creating a budget, I always advise that if you do not have a bulk money to start up an emergency savings account, right, for when things come up, then put it into your budget and start building an emergency fund. Because if you don't start to build that emergency fund, then you will never have an emergency fund, and you will most likely always fall on borrowing for emergencies. When an emergency comes up, there's no emergency fund, guess what you will reach out for? Your credit card. If the credit card is maxed out, guess what you will reach out for? Go to the bank to see if you can overdraw in your account or get a loan or increase your credit card limit. Or if those options are not even feasible, then you start looking to other people to borrow from them. And borrowing is not a smart financial plan for emergencies. So an emergency, yes, emergencies come up, they are unforeseen, we don't know that they're coming, but what are you doing right now to be able to plan for anything that may come up in the future? And that is setting money aside. And it's very, very important to do that. Most people won't have a bulk amount to just say, oh, let me put this amount into this account and for when something comes up. But when you build it in your budget, the same way that you've got a water bill, you've got a hydro bill, treat your emergency fund or savings account as a bill, emergency savings bill. If it's putting $50 in it, $100 in it every month or whatever, you're building it so that when the time comes for an emergency, you have something to fall back on.
Great. Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Okay. So when it comes to spending, should there be a rules? Like couples were kind of different. Some people want to spend lavishly, right? And the other person is
doesn't like spending
lavishly.
Yeah.
So when it comes to spending, should there be rules set aside in the family between couples?
I think it's similar to what we spoke about earlier on, where it's every family is going to be different. Every family's dynamic is going to be different. So it's more art than it is science. However, I think that couples could, we always talk about this, okay, again, in our family, right? It might not necessarily work for everyone, but for us, we have like a commitment to how much. So we have our joint account that covers our bills. Then our individual account, we have a commitment to our savings. And then we have free allocation. Now, free allocation is do as you please. So that means one party might decide that I'm going to save my free allocation in this budget. Another party might say, hey, you know what, there's this decor I've been wanting to do, I'm going to spend it. Or someone might say, hey, I'm going to lavishly spend it. That the idea behind that is, it's yours to spend, because we have already taken care of the things that are most important, our savings, our investing. We've taken care of those things. And then it's like, okay, if it's a 10%, 20%, that's yours to do it, right? And again, that's where that trust comes in place again, and really understanding your partner and things like that. So that's from my perspective, that's how I see it.
Okay, I think somebody has a hand raised.
Doctor?
Yeah, but I have a question too. So the free allocation you're talking about, is it different from the personal savings? The free allocation, is it part of your budget, like every month? Okay, free allocation, $100 for you, $200 for you, is quite different from the savings account.
It's quite so your budget accounts for all of this. So for example, your budget says, hey, here's our expense in terms of bills. Your budget says, here is our emergency savings. Your budget says, here is our investing percentage. And then when it's all said and done, there's for example, 20% unallocated. And that, or 10% allocated, where you can also, okay, that 10% is yours to do with, because you've account, and that's why we think in terms of percentages, not necessarily amount.
Yeah.
And because we've allocated everything else, we're not in any form of danger as a family. And then it's like, it's yours to do. So I don't know if that answers your question. So essentially everything is in the budget, but like every budget, there's a percentage that will go sort of undistributed. If you're there now, again, this is art, right? So that means certain families might be at the point where their budget is tight. They don't have such allocation. And a situation like that, then as a family, the plan will be, how do we grow our income? So our budget, our thoughts will now be designed into growth. It's different from a family, for example, who are at a stage where they have a little bit more cash flow. So that's why I say, again, it's going to differ from family to family, but I hope that helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Somebody had
doctor has his hand
raised
up.
up.
Yeah. Can you please unmute yourself and go for it, sir?
Thank you, sir. I prefer talking to typing.
Okay. That's okay. That's absolutely okay. Yeah, just to let you know, it's super okay.
Okay, sir. Mine's a question. I don't know if we are done with the emergency funding. I want to ask another question directed to Mr. Osamede. Can I go ahead, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, to you, sir, Mr. Osamede, because of the volatility nature of cryptocurrency, is it a good practice for someone to borrow to engage into crypto? Like, taking line of credits to engage in crypto stuff? Is it a good practice?
Okay, so again, first I have to give a disclaimer. I am not a financial advice. So whatever I say is not and should not be construed as financial advice. I'm just going to share my perspective. I think that the primary thing before we even look at any asset class is education, right? Because there's a lot of things I'm going to say that it makes more sense when we understand the full picture. That's what I'm trying to say, that on this call, with the time I have, I might not be able to give you a full picture. But before you make any financial decisions, it's important you have a full picture. So I'm going to say, on a normal day, let me put it this way. If I could, and I'm speaking from my point of understanding and education, if I could borrow a line of credit at 4% or 6% on one hand, and I could go on the other hand and invest in a no risk or low risk opportunity, for example, like a stable coin. And for those who don't understand, a stable coin is backed by dollar 1-to-1. So there's no price volatility except from the intrinsic volatility in the dollar. So if I can invest in a stable coin and earn 19%, then it makes financial sense for me, right? Obviously, there's no such thing as no risk. So there might be a bit of risk, but in a situation like this, for me, it's a risk that I might consider, or I'm more inclined to consider. Why? Because I'm earning from that arbitrage and I'm not exposing myself to more extrinsic type volatility risk. It's not like a Bitcoin or things like that. This is a stable currency, right? That, it's backed by dollar. Obviously, there's contract risk and things like that. But financially, that makes sense. And it even makes more sense if I can buy insurance to hedge those positions. And guess what? Everything I've said to you right now exists. So that means today I could get a line of credit for 7% on one hand, and I could in turn invest in a stable currency and earn 19% and buy insurance on that position, right? Based on my educational level, is a risk I understand and is a risk I'm willing to take. But so when it comes to should you borrow to invest, I think it's more art than science. It's not black or white. It depends. It depends. The first answer will be, if you're not educated in the space, absolutely no. But the more advanced you are when it comes to investing and understanding the space and risk, then it could be a yes. Please, my darling, I think you have something to say.
Go for it. Go for it.
Yes. So with my experience in the financial industry, right, in Canada, having worked for one of the big 5 banks, if somebody came into the branch to see me and say, "Do Chansa, I'm looking to apply for a line of credit," typically I'd ask, "Oh, what are you looking to use this?" And they tell me, "Oh, I'm taking it so that I can go and invest in crypto." My first question to them is, what do you know about crypto? What is crypto? And what are the risks associated with this investment? What's the opportunity associated, right? So it's all about like my husband said, it's about the knowledge and the understanding. For some people, like he said, it is a clear no. You're not sitting in the park and you hear someone talking about, oh, Bitcoin, when I bought Bitcoin, it was $10,000. Now Bitcoin is $50,000. And because I overheard somebody, I quickly go and say, Ish, I have access to $50,000 in a line of credit. Let me take that and buy Bitcoin. You have not done your due diligence. So it's very important that whatever investment opportunity, be it cryptocurrency, be it real estate, be it a mutual fund, be it even a high interest savings account, do your due diligence. And when you do your due diligence, if it makes sense for you to borrow, which is what we call leveraged investing, if it makes sense for you to borrow to invest in that opportunity, then go ahead and do that, right? But just make sure that you have done due diligence. Yeah.
Beautiful. Great. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, there are so many things out there, people are investing. Like Chansa said, you just have to do your own due diligence. Try and understand the market, right? So many people want to invest in so many things. Oh yeah, I had people investing in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a happening thing now. Let me quickly go and borrow money and invest in that. And at the end of the day, so many people might, lose, and it's going to be a big thing. It's going to affect their finances and all that stuff.
Yeah, we have a comment here from a V Mo. It says that essentially you can borrow uncalculated risk.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes. Essentially, yes. But I usually tell people your default should be no. When it comes to credit, it should be no. Don't touch it, because it's a two-edged sword. It can act as leverage and advance you quickly. But if you're wrong, it could also destroy you quickly. It's a two-edged sword. So your natural inclination should be no. You have to understand. It's like fire, right? You can use fire to cook. You can use fire to do great things. But one miscalculation when it comes to fire, it can burn down your house. So, you have to. So even when we say due diligence, I've seen people who do due diligence and still invest in Ponzi schemes, right? Because they didn't really do due diligence. They were just emotionally sort of excited about the opportunity. So again, default should be no, but if you feel like you understand it well enough, and probably seek a third party sort of third party, and just to make sure you're sure, because again, credit, you have to be very careful, because if you spend it and you lose it, you still have to pay it, and that could bring more pressure on your family.
Exactly. And when I say, just to add to that as well, when I say due diligence, most of the time we think of due diligence as doing our research, our own research, right? And I feel like most immigrants shy away from asking about investment. So they don't want to, let me say, pay for information. If it means you paying a professional to be able to get sound advice, then that in itself is due diligence as well, because there's a reason why certain people are professionals. There's a reason why I am a licensed financial advisor or investment advisor. I have done exams. I have done, you know what I mean? I have a lot of experience in that department. So even if somebody decided to read up on mutual funds, for instance, the knowledge and the experience that I have based on, my years in the financial sector may not match up to the due diligence that they're doing, which is research, because there's a lot of information on the internet. And most of the time as human beings, we need to know that when we set our mind to something, typically the information that we're going to be finding or information that we'll be siding with will be information that will be encouraging us to do the thing that it is that we want to do. That's why sometimes it's good to approach a third party who is, professional. And if it means paying for that service, pay for the service so that you get good advice.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's a word for the wise. Don't just sit in the park and hear someone saying about turn it over within 24 hours.
Okay.
I have go for it. We have a comment here in the comment section.
Another important aspect of investment is personal risk tolerance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. personal risk tolerance. I need to be educated on that. Can you?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'll let you, Chansa.
Yeah, sure. So personal risk tolerance is basically knowing where you're at in the investing spectrum, for instance. So let's say my risk tolerance to me, maybe if I was to invest $10,000, if I was okay with losing $10,000 because of the prospect of making $20,000, and then there's another person who has $10,000 and they say, no, I can only afford out of that $10,000 to lose only $1,000. So their risk tolerance is way lower than my risk tolerance. And so like in the bank, for instance, whenever somebody comes in to invest, we have a customer investor profile is what we call it. And it's a series of 10 questions that we go through with a client and we ask them certain questions. And one of those questions was, let's say if they want to invest in market related products, for instance, right, like the stock market, one of the questions would be, if the market was down today, down 50%. So by 50%, let's say you had $100,000 in there, and tomorrow you find that it is $50,000. What would be your first instinct? Would it be to call me to remove that $50,000 and just hold it for you? Or would it be that you're okay and you don't mind giving it a little bit of time to see where things go? Or are you one of those that's like, okay, so that means that the price is down right now, so I can purchase more, right? So it's about asking those questions. And for personal risk tolerance, there is a lot of investor profile questionnaires online that somebody can just quickly go in and do those online and be able to at least just gauge where you're at with your risk tolerance, because it's different for everyone. And even in families and in homes, it's different, right? I think at the beginning of our marriage, my love, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the beginning, when we just got married, my husband's risk tolerance was way higher than mine, right? But as we have gotten older, and I would say maybe had more children, and also based on his experience in, investing, his risk tolerance in certain aspects has gone a little bit lower, because he will tell me that, oh, there's this, like crypto that I'm looking to invest in, I'm putting in this much. And I'm like, but the potential is this much. Like, why don't you put in more? Like, let's just put in more. And he'll be like, no, we're just going to put this in. And I'm like, no, let's put in more. Let's put in more, So even as a family, you have to find what the balance is for the family, what your risk appetite is, right? So yeah, it's very interesting.
You see the switch?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. I have a comment here from a Vimo. Thank you. It says a risk appetite. Yeah, absolutely great.
We just have to be educated when it comes
we need to be educated,
investment,
yes.
Because if you invest strongly, then it can really, really have a massive
effect on and to get back on your feet would take a long time. You have to work. You're working 2 shifts. You work quadruple 5 shifts to pay up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is really educating. Yeah.
Thank you I am so educated right now. Like
I'm glad to hear
so much.
Yeah. While we're talking about investment, why don't I ask how can couple invest their finances?
Yeah, maybe like your husband was saying, if you have a tight budget and you think, oh, it's right now we have to grow our budget. So what can couples do to grow their budgets? If there is something they have to invest, their finances on, what are the things that you guys can advise couples?
Let me add on top of that, with the recession that is currently, it's a global thing. The recession is all over. Gas hike and all that. I have 1,000. I don't want to, you're asking me to invest. No, I hold on to it. And all of those, we're back and I don't want to risk it. So with this, you're in the financial world. And then I know Osamede is in the investing world. So how can couple invest their finances?
So I'm just going to say this quickly. Sure. I think that's important to understand that money is always flowing, flowing. So you said something is a global recession, but gas prices are higher. What does that say to you? So someone is making a lot of money now because of gas prices are going higher. Oil prices are going up. So that means if you're invested in Shell, Mobil, oil producing companies, you're probably making a lot of money right now. So money is always moving. In fact, in a recession, it's just that where it's moving changed. And that's the thing about money, it's flowing. So we always have to ask ourselves, and I always say this to people, I said, as an investor, your job truly is to observe the changing world. And at every given point in time, ask yourself, what direction is this change swinging towards, and who can benefit from this change? And then align yourself with the companies and institutions that are going to benefit from this change. And that's how you can create wealth. So that's one thing. Another thing I think to understand is, I mean, okay, before I say this second thing, I think you have to understand it's an amalgamation of everything we've said today. So you have to understand your risk tolerance, right? Again, are you willing to lose the $1,000, or are you don't want to lose it at all? Are you willing to lose $100 out of that, or you don't want to lose at all? Then, your risk tolerance will really determine what opportunities you can look into. I think that's very, very important before I move on. But the point I was going to make, which is my second point, is that every decade, I think the world is truly given an opportunity to create wealth that would last a lifetime. If we could be quiet enough, or if we could be educated, I don't think it's quiet, I think it's education. If we could be educated enough for our eyes of understanding to be open to see it. I'll give you a practical example. In the 1980s, that was the start of personal computers, right? If you are invested in softwares, Microsoft and companies like that, you in that decade had an opportunity to create a wealth that would have lasted a lifetime. Yeah. So you didn't have to have a lot of money. I could tell you $1,000 invested in Microsoft in the 80s today is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So again, that brings up a second thing, time frame, right? So first talk about risk tolerance, another thing we're going to talk about is how much time do you have? Are you looking for an investment that's going to pay in 30 days? Are you looking for an investment that's going to pay in 5 years? Are you investing for your children? Are you investing for the next generation? Right, all those starts to come into play. But like I said, even $1,000 invested in the 80s, today, I mean, you're a rich person. In the 90s, we had an opportunity, was the start of the internet. Imagine investing in a company like Amazon in the 90s. Today, you are a very rich man, even at $1,000, right? In the 2000s, we had smartphones and how that changed the world as we saw it. Start talking about apps, and apps that started changing the world, and everything changed. Commerce changed, finance changed. Right? In the 2010 was when Bitcoin started. If you had invested $1,000 in 2010, today you are worth a couple million. Right? You're a very rich man. Right? Now in the 2020s, I think we've grown beyond Bitcoin, even to seeing the cryptocurrency stage in center view. All right, that talks about all the different projects that are redefining finance as we know it. We're talking about projects like, or aspects like NFTs, metaverse. I mean, for Facebook, one of the biggest companies in the world by market capitalization, to change their entire brand to focus on an aspect of the metaverse. That tells you a lot. So again, it comes down to education, it comes down to your risk tolerance, it comes down to your time frame. But all I'm saying is understand that the world is constantly moving and money is constantly flowing. It is our job to get educated, to understand where the world is flowing to, who could benefit from it, and how we can align ourselves with these companies and organizations. If we could truly understand and learn to do that, we could earn wealth that would last a lifetime. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, that's super. That super helps. Thank you very much. A quick question to you. I know you have something coming up, education. We've talked about education now, and I know you do a lot of that. When do you mind sharing with the number of people that are here? I know we have about 11, 12 people here. where they can connect with you to learn more financial education, and then if you just do you want to share that, please?
Okay, so myself, my wife, we typically will have programs every now and then. I think one of the best things we could do is that we could always share that with you, and then you can email it to your group. I think that would be great. But again, if you wanted to connect with me personally, Instagram is probably the best place. Instagram, Facebook, and just search my name, Osamede Arhunmwunde, and I'm typically there. Believe it or not, I'm actually not. I'm a more quiet person, so I'm not always online. But I mean, if you shoot me a message, I think one of my passion in life is to help more people learn to generate wealth, to grow that wealth, and to also pass that wealth from one generation to another. It's something I'm super passionate about. Like we talk about the fact that most of us from this call are from Africa. I'm originally from Nigeria, and finance was not something that I was taught growing up. It was something I had to learn when I moved to North America, and I realized that there is this big world out there, and there's this vast prosperity that's out there, and any one of us could truly tap into. So I think, yeah, Instagram, I think my wife just posted that on the church group, is probably the best place to connect with me. I'll probably say the same thing for my wife. And when we do have programs coming up, I would be more than happy to share a link with you. I don't know if my love, is there anything I'm missing out there?
No, I think that's good. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Do you have anything to say?
No.
Okay. And thank you very much, everyone. If you have any question here, we're on the last wrap. And then if you have any comment to say, unmute your mic and please say, say something, ask a question. And it's been an amazing time today. My eyes are open to some things here this morning. And thank you for being part of it. And then this video will be up on our LiveTrace YouTube channel, and then also a clip of it on our Facebook page. It's just more about relationship and finances. And we have our guest in the house, are Mr. and Mrs. Prince and Chansa Osamede. Arhunmwunde. Prince, come on.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. Thank you very much. It's been an amazing time learning from them. They're in the financial world, and then we've learned so much today. Thank you for all that you've shared. It's amazing and an eye-opener to how families, and then learning from your own experience, family dynamics, and how to manage our finances, and what to invest in, and what risk level to take. Know your risk level and know how you can go ahead and invest. Thank you very much. It's been an amazing time. Do you have anything to say?
No, I just want to say thank you guys for honoring our invitation and impacting us with this knowledge today. We're so grateful. Thank you.
And again,
and for everyone on the platform, we say thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Without you, we can just stand here alone with Chansa and Prince and be listening.
I raise my hand just to say thank you very much for the honor to be a part of this great conversation, and for seeing us worthy as people that would be able to provide some information and share in our learnings, and just an opportunity to be able to bless and to impact. So we just want to say thank you very much, and thank you for the work that you're doing and for obeying God's call to be able to do what you're doing. I think it's something that's very important. The family is very, very important. And it's not just about, having children and about getting good jobs, but it's about a wholesome life. And part of that aspect is making sure that not just our mental health is okay, but even our financial health and all of that. So thank you very much, sir and Ma, for doing this. And thank you again for the opportunity to have my husband and myself be a part of this conversation. So thank you very much. We honor you.
Great pleasure. Thank you very much. And then we look forward having you in the next 2 weeks on this forum.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. So once again, go to LiveTrace on our YouTube channel, and also LiveTrace on our Facebook page. Just like this video will be up in a couple of hours there. Send your message, leave your comment. send your question. You can ask a question. I don't know the answer. I'll just forward it to the prince and princess. Hey, I have a question here. Can you help?
And I think
Once again, you can connect with them. You can connect with them on Instagram. They have their Instagram page, Instagram handles here as at Osamede Arhunmwunde and then at Chansa_A. Thank you for sharing. Thank you very much. We love you all. Looking forward to seeing you in the next couple of weeks. This same time, 12 noon at CST, and then on this same channel on our Zoom group. We love you. Thank you. It's Salman Cam wishing you a very lovely weekend and keep living the best that you can. Take every moment to enjoy life and impact in life. We love you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Chansa.
Thank you.
Osamede.
Thank you.
Yeah, we love you too.
Goodbye. Bye.
Come on, choir, sing. Let's lift up our voices.